they're representing it or how they're showing it, right? So for this one, we're measuring their favorite fruit. For this one, we're measuring your birthdays. And this one, we're measuring the average daily temperature, right? So take a minute and I want you guys to tell me which one doesn't belong and can you tell me why? Okay, so now that we had a minute, we're gonna start off with you, group one. Did you guys come up with a graph that didn't belong? You guys are right. It is the bottom right graph. And this one does not belong because this one is a different type of graph, right? This one that we have here is a line graph. I'm gonna take that away so we can kind of look at the different graphs first. So for this one looks similar to the ones that we've just looked at, right? We have bars, we have a title, we have an x-axis, and we have a y-axis. And we're using bars to kind of separate or to measure how our different units, right? And for this one, we're measuring the birthday of students by their month, right? Now this one has a little more values than what we're used to, but all in all, it's still the same, right? Still a bar graph because we have a title, we have our x-axis, we have our y-axis, and we're using bars to measure the different units or the different qualities or different, I don't know how to say qualities that we're trying to represent. Now, this one on the bottom right, it does not belong. And it does not belong because, as you see, it does have a thing that all graphs must have, right? What did I say? It has to have a title, you have to have your x-axis labeled and your y-axis labeled. So it is a graph, but it's not a bar graph because we're not using bars either horizontally or vertically to display or represent our information, right? It seems that they're using lines and they're using dots to represent the average daily temperatures. So for that reason, that one does not belong, right? So now that we've looked at some examples, let's talk about our last really different type of bar chart or bar graph that we'll experience, right? So even though this is not giving us specific data, I just want to use this as an example because it does have a title, it does have x-axis labeled, and it does have your y-axis labeled. So it is a graph, but it's a different type. And I want you to take a minute and I want you to see if you can point out why it's different from the other ones that we used. Group two, you're right. So group two basically said that we're comparing data in multiple ways, right? So the first way that we normally are used to, we're comparing all of these units and we're comparing the numerical value and we're comparing them against each other. Now what this bar graph does that's different from the others is they're comparing it twice, right? So we have here on our x-axis, we have it labeled by the year. So we have 2011. So if we cover all of these and we just pretend that we don't see them, whatever they're trying to measure, they're comparing 2011 to 2011, right? So we're comparing the different values here and how they've increased in 2011 as a whole. So that's the first thing we're measuring. And then we're measuring across the entire catalog of data, right? So we can compare 2011 with 2014's data if we want to, or we can compare 2012 with 2013 data if we want to. It's doing the same thing, but we're representing multiple different types of qualities, right? Or quantities, shall I say. So we can observe it all, or we can break it up and observe and compare two separate columns if we wanted to, right? So I just wanted to give you an example. They're all considered your bar charts or your bar graphs. Sorry, they're all considered your bar graphs, but they just use different ways to represent it, right? So now we're gonna do an activity, right, class? So what we're gonna do is I've had Jessica pass out graph paper or paper out to each person or each group, and I want us to create our own class bar graph, okay? So in total we have 24 students in our class today, right? Right, we have 24 students. Everybody is here today, so today is a good day. And separately as a group, I want you guys to work as a group to create one bar graph for each table. And we're going to take a poll, and separately, I'm going to ask, what's your favorite color, right? So we're going to take a poll, we're going to collect data as a class, and we're going to collect data on everyone's favorite color, right? So we're going to start off with blue. Raise your hand if your favorite color is blue. Okay, so that's 8 of you, right? So we have 8 students whose favorite color is blue. Now can we get, raise your hand if your favorite color is red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Sally. Four people whose favorite color is red. Now we're gonna go with green. All right, so we have 2 favorite colors is green. Yellow. Okay, so we have 3 people whose favorite color is yellow. Lastly, pink. Now everybody needs to vote, right? So everybody who hasn't voted, these are the only colors that we have. So your favorite color is pink. Raise your hand. Ooh, 7. So in total we have 24 students, right? Take your time. As a group, I want you to make sure you include all the things that your bar graph has to have, or a graph period has to have. And I want you to label each, don't forget, don't skip one, label each of your different units and display this data. I'll be walking around trying to ensure that you guys are staying on task, or if you have any questions. Okay, ready to get started. Group 1, looks like you're doing good. Okay, see, you guys are already getting started. I see you have your blue, you have your red. Now tell me what you guys are missing. There's something that you guys should start off with first, that every graph needs to have, right. You're right, John. You guys are forgetting your title. Everything else is good, but make sure you come up with the title, and make sure you're, as a class, remember guys, your title needs to represent the data that you're trying to represent, or the data that you're trying to inform people on, okay? In group 2, you guys are doing good. All right, you have your title, your x-axis, your y-axis, okay. I'm gonna give you guys a few more minutes, and then we're gonna go over our graphs as a class and what they should look like, and maybe we'll be able to post our graphs up for on our bulletin board, right? Just a few more minutes. Yes, you don't have to color the graphs, right? Okay, guys, you don't have to color them. I just want you guys to do a rough sketch so you guys can learn how to make your own bar graphs. Okay, so everybody, can I have your attention? All right, back to your seat. Okay, so let's review our data that we have. So we have 8 people whose favorite color is blue, 4 people whose favorite color is red, 2 people whose their favorite color is green, 3 with their favorite color is yellow, and 7 people whose favorite color is pink, right? Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys my chart and kind of what it looks like. And I'm not saying yours guys has to be perfect like mine, exactly like mine, but it should look something similar to this, right? Okay, so our first thing that we have to pay attention to is title. I know group 1 almost forgot your title. Remember guys, it's very important. If there's no title, I don't know what we're comparing or what we're measuring, right? Like we've talked about previously and other things, units are important just like a title is important, right? You don't write a story without a title. I need to know what you're trying to tell me, right? So I put for my title, Miss Allen's class's favorite colors, right? Because this is Miss Allen's class, right? And we guys, we took a poll, or we collected data on you guys' favorite colors. So I'm telling the audience, whoever's gonna be reading my graph, if we post it up in the hallway, what we're measuring, right? And then I label my x-axis. On my x-axis, I put the colors, right? So we had blue, we had red, we had green, we had yellow, and we had pink, right? And then on my y-axis, I have the number of students. Now, I went by 2s. I will say there is no right way to do an interval, but your interval should best match your data, right? So I went by 2s because most of our numbers were even numbers, and we had a small interval set, right? We started off at 0. 0 was the least that we could have, and 10 was about the most, being that we had only 24 people here today. So no value exceeded 10, so I can make my intervals smaller. So we can go by starting with blue because that's our first value that we had. I had 8. So right here, as you see at the line, we have 8 students. And then we had red was 4, so we have it right here on your 4 line, you see. Green is 2, so once again, it falls right at your interval mark at 2. And then we have 3, right? I know we've talked about this in another example. I left room for interpretation. You see, it's 2 is definitely 3. I'm so sorry, class. Yellow, we had 3 people pick yellow, correct? So it's a little more than 2, so we're above our 2 interval line, but 3 is definitely less than 4. So we kind of fell in the middle right here. And then lastly, we have our pink, which is almost the favorite, and it falls at 7. So in between your 6 and 7, it's about halfway. Now, I don't want you guys to pay attention to the colors of the bars. The colors of the bars, unless indicated at the bottom of the chart, they don't mean anything. Unless your author of the graph lets you know what each color means, it doesn't have a significant value unless it, like I said, otherwise stated. So now that we kind of had some examples of some graphs, some bar graphs, and we explained what a graph really does, next time in class we're going to discuss a line graph. Now I know earlier when we played one of these things is not like the other game, we talked about a line graph a little bit, but next time in class we're going to discuss it a little bit more, and we're going to discuss like what would you use that graph for, right? So as we're wrapping up today, I want you guys to tell me what you could use a bar graph to represent. You know what I mean? If you were collecting data, what in your daily life could you use a bar graph to represent? That's good, Sarah. She said you can use it to represent favorite holidays. You can use it to represent, if you wanted to take a poll between you, your brother, and your sister, who stayed in the bathroom the longest or who watched TV the longest. You can use those to represent data. Or even like today. Today's a real example. We collected data. I know it doesn't seem like it, but as a class, we collected data on our favorite colors, and we represented our data with a good graph or a good chart. So like I said, we'll be posting, we're gonna use you guys as examples, and we're gonna post this on our math bulletin board. And then next time we're gonna discuss line graphs and how we can really use a line graph to represent specific data. Okay, class? So get ready to pack your stuff up.